I'm live. Yay. Okay. I need to go put on my contacts. Nope, no I don't. I'm not gonna do it right now. I'm choosing not to do it. All right. We got a lot to talk about. Two topics, but we got a whole bunch to talk about. It is Thursday and haha, me first. I got the first comment. Anywho, we live. These Diesel, man. I can set my clock to you, bruh. We are getting ready to go in, and we gonna go in semi hard. But I want y'all to do some thinking. You know what I'm saying? I want y'all to really do some thinking. Number one, with the first situation, as far as the harder they fall, if you've seen it, then a lot of what I'm getting ready to talk about is gonna make sense. If you haven't seen it, it isn't gonna make a difference. And if you don't care one way or the other, nothing's going to change. Uh, I don't think that's gonna be the case with this Kyle Rittenhouse thing. I know people are feeling a certain way about it, and I always manage to find at least one divisive topic. But before I get too far gone and too deep off into it, I just want to say thank you to the people who rock with me, like my man D Steezel and like my man Theo B. We're gonna talk some stuff. And we're gonna get into some deep thinking. And that is what I want everybody to just kind of examine in and focus on, because I'm gonna be asking questions, and you got 2 seconds in between comments to respond. So that means you type a comment, 1 second, 2 seconds, then you can type another comment. So that's how steady the comments can come. Okay. Yeah, you can do lives from your cell phone again, Theo. I just found that out myself. And like I was about to say, before I went off on a tangent, uh, happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there, myself included. I feel some kind of way about being a veteran, but I'm not gonna get into that because it might potentially spoil the experience for other veterans, and I don't want to do that. If your service is sacred to you, let your service be sacred to you. I'm not gonna spoil that. Okay, without further ado, last week, was it last week? Yeah, it was last week. Last week, The Harder They Fall dropped on Netflix. Black Cowboy Western. And it was met with rave reviews by everybody, myself included. Heck, I gave it a 10 in my review, and in my opinion, I believe that it still is a 10. For the simple fact that at the top of that movie, oh, hey, Miss Rev, how you doing? Um, for the simple fact that it did what it set out to do. Um, it touched the minds and hearts of Black people, and made us feel like we were included in the old West, because we all know late 1800s was not a cool time for people of color. Now, I don't know. Maybe some of us we might rock with this individual online, but it's a brother by the name of Kaiser Cole Slevin that did a video, and I think it's out on his page right now. If y'all want to bounce back and check that out, and then come into this one, or check it out after. But basically, even though that movie, at the top of that movie, The Harder They Fall, says that even though some of the people I rocks with him too. Even though some of the people in that movie actually exist, a lot of the people, most of the people in that movie actually existed. It was a non historical account. Okay, even though there is a man, or there was a man named Bass Reeves who was a black marshal, to our knowledge, Bass Reeves never teamed up with Nat Love or Stagecoach Mary or Shotgun Mary, as either way as she's called. But the question I first want to ask is, and I know a lot of people in here are pro recast T'Challa, and that means we want an accurate, real representation of a fictional character, but we want a real, accurate representation nonetheless. Now, if we put a character in Black Panther Wakanda Forever and call him T'Challa and say he's the son of T'Chaka, and everything about him is accurate to the nines. He took the heart-shaped herb. He fought Killmonger. He's a member of the Avengers. He's married to Storm. All that. Except he's a Latina. How are we going to feel about that? Are we going to say that's inaccurate? Even though it's a beautifully made movie and it follows source material and canon, but he's Latina. Okay. Let me tell you where I'm coming from. Okay. For instance, the character of Stagecoach Mary, played by Zazie Beetz. We know who Zazie Beetz is. Zazie Beetz is a biracial woman, beautiful woman. Look like she stands about 5'6", 5'7". Might be like 140, 130, something like that. The real Stagecoach Mary, the real Shotgun Mary, stood well over 6 feet and was about 200 pounds. Leslie Jones from Saturday Night Live would have been a more accurate Stagecoach Mary than Zazie Beetz. Now, right, I hear you over there, Theo. They said it wasn't factual. But when they said it wasn't factual, did you just go, that's everything? Okay, the look, the feel, the vibe, all of it. None of it's factual, but it's a good story nonetheless. Even though Stagecoach Mary and Nat Love never had a romance. I mean, does it hit the same way? I guess is the question I'm asking, because it's us doing it around us, within our community, within our demographic. That make it okay? I mean, because the point could be argued, there's not enough Black representation, so inaccurate Black representation is better than no representation at all. I see your point. Yes, yes. Will Smith don't look nothing like Mr. Williams. Don't look nothing like Venus and Serena's daddy, but we ain't had no problem with. He didn't look like the other character he played either. I would be upset if they present it as actual. Hell, wasn't Chadwick Thurgood Marshall? Who got mad? Well, I guess where I'm at is, and don't get me wrong, I'm not bagging on the movie. I'm not pulling back my 10 rating that I gave the movie. I'm just saying, does being accurate apply to us? Should it apply to? I understand the disclaimer and all of that, but did that disclaimer cover Versace? Does I mean, is the disclaimer just a disclaimer? Denzel is Malcolm X. He looked similar to Malcolm X, not like Malcolm X. They gave him a semblance. If I put a picture of Malcolm X and a picture of Denzel as Malcolm X, I can see similarities. If I put a picture of Zazie Beetz as Stagecoach Mary and the actual Stagecoach Mary side by side, they don't look nothing alike at all. She's a tall, dark, huge woman. Okay, now now we're arguing semantics. Okay, to me, to me, both terms are accurate because I don't get to decide whether a biracial person is black or biracial. A biracial person gets to decide whether they're black or biracial because they have both bloods flowing through their veins. I just use the term biracial to give it sustenance to get to whet your appetite, which it did. She has a German father and an African American mother. She is biracial. She appears black, but she is biracial. I wouldn't be averse to calling her black. I wouldn't be averse to calling her biracial because in my mind, she's both. My wife is both. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you got a couple of different bloods flowing through your veins. Isn't it you that decide what you are or aren't? Not nobody else. I mean, I get people saying, okay, you got to drop a black blood, you're black. I get that. But how do you feel about it? Because there are biracial people who look white. So, and I mean biracial like black and white, and they look white. So it's not just biracial that way. But I'm getting off of the tangent. Also, well, okay, Theo says, I get it, but why are we looking at this specific portrayal? I was looking at that portrayal at first, but I'm going to move on. All right, Lakeith Stanfield. We all know what Lakeith Stanfield looks like, right? That's a black man. Ain't no doubt in nobody's mind. Okay. Um, he played a character named Cherokee Bill. Now, I kind of wondered when I was watching the movie, why is he named Cherokee Bill? But then later on, I went back and I saw historically what Cherokee Bill looks like. Cherokee Bill looks like that, a Cherokee Indian. So, what's the reasoning behind making Cherokee Bill a black man? I get it. Again, historically, we know it's fiction. Got that. But Black Cherokee Bill, what do we think about that? Is there an issue there? I mean, is it us taking liberties with us, or if anybody has the right to take those liberties, it's us? That's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to fill out what the consensus is. Okay. Are we okay with us taking liberties with us? And does it make it hypocritical when other people, non-people of color, take liberties with us, create inaccuracies with us, push false narratives about us? Is it okay for other people to do it, or is it considered hypocritical when we do it? That's the question that I have been sitting around mulling over in my head for the better part of maybe like a day or so. I mean, because it really and shouts out to my man Kaiser Slevin. The way he laid that video out was not to say black people are messing up, but just to say what's going on with representation. You see what I'm saying? And we want T'Challa to be represented in the best possible light, with the best possible look, in the best possible way. Okay, arguably, Cherokee Bill ain't T'Challa. Stagecoach Mary ain't T'Challa. But it's a representation of a real life character. And Theo brought up an excellent point. Um, Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, played the role of Thurgood Marshall, although the man looked nothing like Thurgood Marshall. I think the only thing he and Thurgood Marshall had in common was a mustache. Okay. Okay, Cherokee Bill's father was black and a Buffalo Soldier, Mr. Smith, but I'm talking about appearance. Is it fair to depict him in the way he was depicted in that movie? And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong, y'all. Please understand. What I'm trying to say is simply representation. How does representation work? Is in movies, in terms of movies, how should we be represented? Should we be represented just as black no matter what? And what would have been wrong with an indigenous looking actor playing the role of Cherokee Bill, since in all the pictures and depictions I've ever seen of Cherokee Bill, he looks like an indigenous person. So how do we think, and here's another good question. How do we think indigenous people feel about the depiction of Cherokee Bill in The Harder They Fall? It ain't just about us, y'all. That's what we're what we chopping up today is about accurate representation, and how accurate is that representation. And if it's not accurate, do we care? Mr. Smith, do you care if the representation is accurate, or is it just like, okay, let's just throw a bunch of black people on the screen and we can sort it out later? D. Steezel says he's no casting director, but it's very hard to cast multiple good actors who look like the real people. You are not just whistling Dixie there, brother Steezel. I guess. Well, here's where I'm at with it, and we can move forward after that. Or if y'all got things y'all want to say, y'all can go ahead and say them. But what my thought about it is, and I know OG Ray Smith gonna agree with me. I remember watching a cowboy movie. I forget the name of the cowboy movie, but it had Burt Lancaster in it. And if anybody knows who Burt Lancaster is, you know that's a straight up white man. And he was playing an indigenous person. He had, the whole get up, had the hair, cut off, the little He-Man haircut, and the band around his head, and they had paint on his face to try to make him look like he was an indigenous person. That wasn't right then, and it wouldn't be right. It really wouldn't be right now if we did that. They would have so much blast back and blowback. You know what I'm saying? They probably end up shutting the production down. Yes, I remember John Wayne as Genghis Khan, and on and on and on. Elizabeth Taylor as Cleopatra. There are tons of them. There are tons of them. And as hard as we've fought, for accurate portrayal, because we know it ain't no military secret how we were depicted in cinema. The only time you saw I think the first time I ever saw a black person that you could be proud of. I think maybe who was it? Paul Robeson, Harry Belafonte. It took that long to get a respectable representation of a black man on the screen. And I think a lot of that had to do with, you had your MGMs and your Universals and all of that. White run. So whatever the white executives say is supposed to happen, that's what happened. But now, enter 2021, we got a little bit more creative say so in our own features. So I don't know. If y'all are okay with it, I guess, but later on down the line, when some group comes advocating for accuracy in cinema and earmarks this movie as a shining example. Also, what I didn't mention, Rufus Buck, the character played by Idris Elba. Rufus Buck died when he was 18. Okay? Yeah, so huge liberties being taken. Huge liberties being taken with this movie. I mean, I get it. It's like it's kind of like throwing Goku and Naruto in a movie together. Oh no, they've never been together, but guess what? This time we're gonna put them together. Artistic creativity. Okay. In the case of The Harder They Fall, the cast was pretty good, so I have no complaints. I don't have any complaints per se, but later on down the line, all I'm gonna say is we need to be supportive of this movie so that people understand, regardless of how it looks, we're still cool with it. We understand representation for us is incredibly limited. And so the representation we do get, we're good with. I am in Anchorage, Alaska, and it is snowing like a son of a gun. I have shoveled my driveway twice already because I want people to be able to get into the driveway when they come home. I want people to be able to get into the driveway when they come over or whatever. So there you go, Miss Real. You're welcome. Other qualms about the casting is making you. Yes, other qualms about the casting is making me dig deeper. That and Kaiser Slevin's video, because that popped up right on time. You're welcome, dear. That popped up right on time because it was right with my queries and thought processes. And then I just got a alert, and I'm like, oh, I ain't heard from Brother Slevin in a while. Let's see what he's talking about. And I watched the video, and I was like, and lo and behold, this live was born. That is basically where it came from. Still has something negative to say about her looks. Right. I mean, I ain't saying I'm 100% with it. I'm just saying the thought process that he sparked because of that video. I ain't saying I 100% agree with everything that was in his video. You know what I'm saying? Because you're right, 100. He has something negative to say about the way she looked, as well as we didn't cast Stagecoach Mary the way she should have looked because could no big 6 foot, 200 pound, chocolatey dark woman have no relationship with Jonathan Majors? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If I satisfy these people over here, these people are going to be unhappy. If I satisfy those people up there, these people down here are going to be unhappy. So Jane Samuels, the director of The Harder They Fall, said, I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to make it look how it look, and I'm going to let the chips fall where they may. But just for accurate representation's sake, the disclaimer of this is a fictional account, I guess, not only covers the events, but the people and their appearances. Because if we cast Jill Scott, she finna make Jonathan look small as hell. Jill Scott is a full-figured woman, but she ain't dark enough. I'm telling you, I've seen you look up a picture of Stagecoach Mary, Shotgun Mary, whatever you want to call her, and Leslie Jones from Saturday Night Live is a better candidate to play Stagecoach Mary than Zazie Beetz or Jill Scott. That's how she looks, if we're being anatomically accurate. But I don't think Leslie Jones has the acting chops that Zazie Beetz does. So again, that harkens back to whoever's said it was. Oh, D. Steezel. It's hard to find good actors to play accurate roles. You know, I can think far back as like I don't know. I might be dating myself when I say this, but Serpico with Al Pacino. I saw pictures of the real Serpico, and I'm like, that don't look like Al Pacino. Al Pacino don't look like that dude. Well, yeah. She has. I guess if you count that ghost, but that all female Ghostbusters movie. Anywho, y'all thought this was a difficult subject to navigate. Wait until we get into this next one. Oh boy. I'm gonna give y'all a second to breathe. I'm gonna give y'all a second to come down. Kyle Rittenhouse. Yeah, I know what you was talking about. You said she's been in action movies, and I was saying Leslie Jones was in the all-female Ghostbusters. Not a lot of action per se, but she got to move around a little bit. She did just as much moving around as Zazie Beetz did in The Harder They Fall. I will argue even more. And no worries. That's what happens when you're making comments. Folks gotta delineate what comment was said and what was meant by it. No harm done, bro. Think about the fight between Regina King and Stagecoach Mary. How would that have looked? Tremendously different because Stagecoach Mary probably would have beat the daylights out of Trudy Smith and it would have been a lot shorter fight. But I mean, people who are big have got into fights with people who are small cinematically. Right away, I immediately think of Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark fighting the big German guy around the airplane with the propeller going around. He clearly was outmatched. But bottom line, Mr. Smith, and that's my example right there, that fight will go the way the director says it's supposed to go. But in real life, yeah. She'd have caught a hard fade. She'd caught a hard fade. 6 foot, 200 pounds. Yeah, she'd have got faded like the king. She'd have got faded. But anyway, like I said, I was warming y'all up, and that was the preliminary. Here's the main event. Kyle Rittenhouse. Y'all been keeping up with that Kyle Rittenhouse trial? Or have you been too appalled to watch? I give you a second. You probably don't even need a second to think about it, huh? Well, Mr. Smith, Theo. Oh, you've been too appalled to watch. Okay. Well, here's the thing. The young man, Kyle Rittenhouse, who shot 3 people and killed 2 of them, and he said he came from Illinois. Take that back. his mama drove him. And we ain't said one thing about that mama. More in a minute. From Illinois to Wisconsin, where he proceeded to take it upon himself to be judge, jury, and executioner. There's video footage of people asking him what's he doing there, and he's got like a Unit 1 along with his AR-15 saying, "I'm here to give first aid to people who need it." And somebody asked him, was he an EMT? He lied. He lied and said yes, he was an EMT. Okay. I was in the military for 6 years, 6 months, 21 days, Fleet Marine Force as the doctor. And I, as someone who's been in a zone getting shot at, only got a 45. Why? Because my job was to help the Marines. My job was to pull the Marines away. My job was to help the Marines when they're injured, not carry a M16 or an AR-15 to shoot. There's people covering that. You need an AR-15 for self-defense. The person who you shot had a 9mm, or one of the people you shot. Handgun, but you got an AR-15. You're scared? Why are you scared? How many shots can you get off with an AR-15 versus a semi-automatic pistol? Why would you need to be scared? Again, the mother needs her butt beat. Okay? Because my thing is, you took him up there knowing what was going on. You are a bad parent. You are a recidiously bad parent. How come we ain't talking about his mama? How come we're just talking about him? If it wasn't for his mama, he wouldn't be there. Period. But she don't get mentioned at all. She don't get mentioned. Then the young man, in an unprecedented move, takes the stand. And testifies. And man, this prosecuting attorney is loving it. He's shredding him apart. He's like, oh, yeah, just tearing him apart, breaking him down with questions. The boy starts crying on the stand. He starts crying. The judge takes a recess so that he can compose himself. You know what, Mr. Smith? I actually did see one tear because me, because that's the first thing I see. Everybody talking about, oh, he's just and right, there was a little bit right there, but it's hard to say. It kind of looked like sweat too. So, you know what I'm saying? It could go either way. But my thing with that is not about even the fact that if he was real crying or not. My thing was with the fact that the judge gave him a recess. I done been in court and I done seen women who was being cross-examined about being assaulted, about being sexually assaulted, and started crying on the stand. No recess for them. They didn't get no recess. I've seen people testifying on the stand about their loved ones getting killed and they start crying on the stand. Judge didn't give no recess. All a symptom of a bigger problem. Our justice system is hopelessly, helplessly broken beyond repair. And the fact that we sit here and say that there's nothing wrong, or well, we don't say it. We know better. But the fact that people sit and say, oh, it's fine. It works for me. Yeah. Because the justice See, I'm about to get I'm about to get into something else. and and this is usually 45 minutes. And if I get off into to this kind of stuff, well, the judge, Theo, the judge is getting ready to make it where they're going to call it a mistrial with extreme prejudice. And what that means is if the judge calls it a mistrial with extreme prejudice, gone innocent, and he can't be called back for a retrial. So essentially, yeah, you guys are right. They are making him into a hero. So a man who kills somebody in this country is a hero. The judge cared about his feelings because he's a young Caucasian male, or and the people he shot were Caucasian. So I mean, is it about race? Is white people shooting white people over a black person that died? So is it about race, or is it about privilege? And I didn't want to use that word, but that opens up a whole nother ball of wax. But from where I'm sitting, DC says it's a little bit of both. How's it? It's about race because a white person shot two other white people and injured another white person. How is that about race? So I'm trying to understand because it doesn't sound like it's a race issue to me, so much as it is about privilege in America. It's about privilege and who does and don't get it. If Kyle Rittenhouse was a little black boy, he most likely would not even be alive. Let's just keep it a buck. A black kid walking down the streets of Wisconsin with an AR-15, the cops would have got him before anybody else would. Oh, you meant the judge felt it? Yeah, well, yeah. The judge did feel sympathy for the murderer, obviously, but why? What factor was it? Was it the acting display? And that's what I call it. Was it the acting display that he put on the stand that won the judge over? Or had the judge already made it? Because the judge was yelling at the prosecuting attorney afterwards, after he made little Kyle cry. The judge admonished, chastised the prosecuting attorney. And I'm like, WTF? Ain't that what the prosecuting attorney's supposed to be doing? He's doing his job. So, yeah, that is why I say it is about privilege. Because Kyle is being afforded the privilege of being a white-bodied person in the United States of America and afforded advantages and privileges that he most definitely did not earn. Okay? 17, 18-year-old boy don't have the right. Well, nobody has the right to just kill. I understand he got attacked. I understand that. Okay, and the guy who got shot, who put his hand on the boy's gun, come on now, it's ex-military up in here. What happens when somebody puts their hand on your rifle? What happens when somebody puts their hands on your gun? What is supposed to be your response? But yet and still, we look at this little 17. And yes, I'm playing devil's advocate because I want us to get a 360-degree view of what's going on. Because I'm asking these questions don't mean I favor one way or another. I'm asking because these are the kind of things that you're going to run into when you say, how come this or how come that? Because just like you're asking about those things, there are people who disagree with what we think and feel and are going to clap back. So you got to be prepared to answer these questions in conversation, in real time, in whatever venue you end up having this conversation in. That man grabbed his gun. What was the boy supposed to do? Put yourself in that situation. I'm a black man in a mob of white people, and these white people are like, what are you doing here? And they decide they want to attack your black behind, and they put their hands on your gun. What are you going to do? Not condoning the fact that he killed anybody, but you ain't just not going to bust. Not in a situation like that. I don't believe it. If I'm in a situation where I feel like my life's in danger, we can sort it out later after I ventilate. You know what I mean? We can sort all of that out after the fact. The judge, I'm asking the judge could do it if I was white. Theo, the judge would do it if you were white. And that is my point. You know what I'm saying? It's privilege in America. And that privilege is not any more prevalent than it could be when it comes to the judicial system. The judicial system does not give a damn about fairness when it comes to us. And that is why, in my opinion, that is why a lot of people don't want historically accurate teachings in school. I mean, it could be argued that history is something that needs to be taught in the home, because we want our children to have an understanding of what has went on as well as who and what they are. And it's obvious that we get way too much pushback from school districts who want to argue and bicker and say, nah, we shouldn't do that. Do I remember the case where the young brother asked to be tried? Like, and you do. Yes, I do. And you do remember he went to jail, right? So yeah, he's that cat was a little bit off to begin with, I think. Um, yeah, I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, honestly, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about judicial reform? Because that's where the focus, in my opinion, that's where the focus needs to be. There needs to be judicial reform. There needs to be it needs to be broken down and built back up with a 2021 American population mindset. Okay, the laws we got, a lot of the laws we got on the books, a lot of that crap needs to be taken off. Okay, because a lot of it was made in the early 1900s, in the 1800s, and it's like we didn't do that no more. Lynching didn't even become a federal crime until the 2010s. That's the judicial system in the United States. Qualified immunity, a lot of stuff needs to go. Theo says, I think that should be an actual request. Historically speaking, they can't try or judge us properly. That's no longer a secret. Yeah, that ain't been a secret for a while, Theo. About folks not judging us properly. With the possible exception of OJ and maybe one or two others, Black people in courtrooms don't generally always get what they want or what they deserve. And that is why everybody in my family has always been of the mind, don't go to jail and don't end up in court. Out of all my siblings, I don't think anybody saw the inside of a jail until they were in their 30s. And it was on, some old humbug stuff. And so, by and large, we know to avoid jail. I mean, at least in my family, I don't know about nobody else's. We know because we know we ain't gonna get a fair shake. I just had a partner of mine, man. It took him like 5 years. 5 years, man, to beat a sexual assault rap. Meanwhile, there were people going on trial for sexual assault crimes far worse than the ones he was on trial for, and they got off. Didn't get put on no sexual offender list. They got off. When I say got off, I mean got off scot free, clean and clear. But we got this young Black brother that's languishing in jail, that's languishing on house arrest. Well, he's out now. But I mean, over some BS. You know what I'm saying? It was a Netflix and chill situation, basically. And the girl's boyfriend found out about it. And my man had to go through. This is why I'm so glad I'm married. I can't be going through that kind of stuff, man. I'd have been done lost it. I just, you know what I'm saying? You can't do that. You say you ain't never been to jail, but my brother has multiple times. Well, don't get it twisted. I got family members who are extremely familiar with jail. I'm just saying, me, my brother, sister, mom, for the most part, never saw it inside of a jail. Me, I got held, I got detained once because I didn't pay a traffic ticket, and they issued a bench warrant. So that kind of stuff. And that's why I say, man, take care of that stuff. Deal with that stuff. You don't, because it can balloon into and snowball into something bigger. And then you dealing with some craziness you didn't even expect to be dealing with. You know what I mean? So stay out of jail. But back to my man Rittenhouse. Like I said, he is a symptom of a bigger problem. My man, what's his name? Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman. We know good and doggone well George Zimmerman was guilty as the day is long. Got off. And all of these cops, I mean, they all like, well, what about Amber Geiger? She went to jail. That's one. Derek Chauvin, that's two out of how many? We need to address the judicial issues we got in this country. We really, really do. And just my projection, I think the kid's going to get off. I don't think he deserves to get off, but I think he's going to walk. Just based on the direction that trial's going in right now, he's going to get off. You know what I'm saying? He's going to walk away. He's going to go back to Illinois, and he's going to be bragging about how he shot two people and injured another one and did nothing happen to him. Privilege. It's just the way it is. I mean, that ain't what I want. That ain't what I want to see. But deep in my heart, and from what I've seen in the past 5-6 years with cops and trials and all of that stuff in this country, that boy gonna walk. You know what I'm saying? Amber Geiger got a hug from Botham Jean's brother. Um, um, if you are asking D. Steezel about Kyle Rittenhouse, yeah, that went down in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Is where the riot was taking place because a brother by the name of Jacob Blake got killed by the police. And that is why there was rioting going on. And my man thought way down in Illinois, I should drive up to Wisconsin and take care of that situation. Mama, where's my AR-15 and my first aid kit? You live about an hour away? I hope you didn't get involved in that rioting, sir. Because we're all considered thugs when we're rioting. You don't want to be considered a thug, do you? I could say another group of people that was thugging, but didn't nobody call them thugs on January 6th. But we ain't gonna go there. That's a different show. Um, 51 minutes. I'm past my time, y'all. D Diesel, Ray Smith, Theo B, Mrs. Real. I appreciate y'all rocking with me today on this Thursday live. This has indeed been a live. Y'all are some deep and insightful people, and I appreciate y'all rocking with me, and I hope y'all continue to rock with me. And as always, comment, like, and subscribe to the Be Real with D Real page so you can get alerts about stuff like this. We have fun discourse at Be Real with D Real. But y'all, I'm signing out. I'll be back with another one of them other ones. And until then, y'all, be good. Be good to each other.